As the chair of W20, it is an honor for me to participate in UNIDO's International Conference on Women in Industry and Innovation. The conference's theme of women's economic empowerment through bridging the gender gap to create greater resilience in the labor market is, in the context of COVID-19 crisis, more important than ever. With the continued uncertainty created by this crisis, there is potential to either accelerate the gender equality agenda or to hamper past progress altogether. What happens next depends on our ability to influence policymakers to prioritize gender considerations in their COVID-19 response measures and to ensure that women are included in policymaking discussions. W20 is the premier platform bringing women's issues to the G20 process through policy recommendations. We are part of the G20 process, but independent from governments. Our primary objective is to ensure that the gender considerations are mainstreamed into G20 discussions and translated into G20 leaders' declaration as policies and implementation commitments that foster gender equality and women's empowerment, especially in the economic area. G20 governments are committed to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, including SDG 5 on gender equality, and to the Brisbane 25 by 25 initiative, which calls for reducing the gender gap in labor by 25% by 2025. Yet, the journey towards an equitable recovery and equitable labor force is far from over. We agree with this conference, all W20 policy recommendations should be based on bridging the gender gap. Evidence shows that catalyzing tool for bridging the gender gap in pay, in workforce, and in access to opportunities across all sectors and industries begins with the active inclusion of women, and also it is smart economics. As for the presidency of W20, the delegates decided to include inclusive decision as the fourth policy priority, along with financial, labor, and digital inclusion. To me, true change for women across all sectors can only take place when women are active participants in all aspects of the decision-making processes in both public and private spheres. The current system of decision-making in the critical areas of finance, economy, and industry is dominated by men, and thus the policies reflect their own perspectives. This becomes increasingly important as we emerge from COVID-19 crisis. Any focus on economic recovery must intrinsically build in gender, and the way to do this is through accelerating inclusive decision-making at all levels of public policy making, community, national, and international. We have called upon the G20 to immediately adopt gender-responsive budgeting to ensure that the pandemic recovery measures foster a gender-inclusive workforce, and to implement social protection mechanisms for alternative employment models to ensure appropriate coverage for all workers in the formal and informal economy, with special attention to essential workers, part-time workers, the self-employed, particularly those in low-income countries. My international experience taught me that sustainable development can only be achieved when it occurs in the context of and with the agreement of the people whose lives will be affected. Women have a wider perspective because of their various roles and responsibilities, from personal to community and at work. This can only be achieved when women are sitting on the same decision-making tables and at all levels. Believe me, gender equality cannot wait, and believe me, we mean it. Thank you.